right, hey there, this is Molorian, and this is going to be me saying what the results were of the Cry Havoc tournament. I'm going to be going over my army list, say what I kind of thought about it, the different parts, and then also covering the different missions and just the tournament in general and just my thoughts on it. So first thing, we're going to go to results. All right, I hope you guys remember this guy. This is Jordan from the Bretonian game, and I gotta talk about his final game because you guys should have seen my game against the Vampires where I dropped the ball at the finish line, and so I had time to go over and see how his finished. And he was with his Bretonians up against some Demons of Chaos, and it wasn't looking good for him. It wasn't looking good at all. Uh, and then pretty much what it came down to is that there was that Nurgle Demon Prince right in front of his lord there with Killing Blow. So what does he do? He tries to trebuchet first. Fair enough. He doesn't want to charge. He has a Heartwood lance. He has a better chance of getting Heroic Killing Blow if he needs his, to re-roll all his wounds instead of just whatever. And what happens with the trebuchet? It scatters back and hits his own Bretonian lord. He fails to look out, sir, and he's down to one wound. So then when the Demon Prince comes in, he's able to do the last wound and kill the Brett Lord. And at that point, things like, that's it. Game is over. But they go through it, and, points go either way. And they're saying again, it's a massacre, it's a massacre. And I'm telling them there, too, like, no, guys, this is important. Make sure to add it up. Well, it turned out just to be I can't remember if it was a solid loss or minor loss, whatever it was. It wasn't the full points he could have lost. And what it was then is that both me and Jordan were tied for 46 points. But when you go to secondaries, he had the most secondaries, so he's going to be winning this. Now, overall, there's a, best overall prize, and then there's best general, best painted, best sportsman, blah, 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 blah. Well, when you really put together with the sportsmanship and the painted, Jordan here, this is him winning best overall. So that's awesome. It's a huge trophy. That dragon is set up there so it can come off and be used for other stuff. He won a battalion box for Lizardmen, and he also won an entrance into the GT Grand Tournament there. So really awesome, great to see. And really what that leaves for me then is I won Best General. So there I am, unshowered because, this is in a different town. I've been sleeping over on a couch. But, this is really awesome. I felt really great to get this, the Best General. But at the same time, I got to say, with full honesty, this is with like an asterisk because if you're looking at Best General at the points, it was Jordan who won. We tied for points. He wins with the secondaries. Really, the tiebreaker should be the very fact that he just beat me in general. So there is that. One of the things, you could think for a second like, oh man, Malorian, you got robbed. If you just wouldn't have screwed up that last turn of the last game, you would have won best overall. Well, keep in mind that I also got really, 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 really lucky in my high elf game, so that probably all just evens out. But either way, I was really happy to walk away with a trophy, even though it's kind of like a second place trophy in a way. And I actually got a Cauldron of Blood, but I traded another guy to get a Phoenix. So I'll probably turn that to a Flame Phoenix or something. So either way, love these trophies and happy to win something. All right, so now I'm just going to let these pictures of other armies scroll by while I go over everything else. It's actually too bad. I went around here the one time and went and took all these pictures at lunch when everybody was around. And, it turned out that after this, they actually did an official thing where everybody set their army to make it look all pretty for painting. And at this point, I already took all the pictures, so I just left it as is. You'll still be able to see here all the armies that were there. Oddly enough, the most popular army was Tomb Kings. I couldn't believe it. Tomb Kings, the #1 army there. If you're wondering who won Best Painted out of all of this, there will be a Beastman army coming up. It looks fantastic. I voted for it. Second place will be an awesome Empire army you'll see on a very cool display board. Let's talk about how I think about my list first. First off, I had the Rune Lord. Man, that guy is freaking money. I can't believe when people actually think like, oh, I'd never take the Rune Lord. It's totally not worth it. How is it not worth it? Sure, you are having a weakness if somebody can get off a Pit of Shades or something like that. But otherwise, it's giving you so much magic defense. It's giving you so much in the way of, slowing down armies as they're coming in, of ways of getting those extra charges. It does so much for you, and then it's so hard to take out because it's unbreakable. It's toughness 10, has a 4+ ward. The Rune Lord, it's a lot of points, but really, even at like the 2,000 point, I think it's legit to have it in there. So really happy with him. I don't think I'd change that build whatsoever. Next, I got my BSB, who had the Master Rune of Grommel, Rune of Cleaving, Rune of Fire, and Master Rune of Challenge. Again, I really love that build. The Rune of Fire, I'm, 50-50 on, but it's 5 points, and if you have the 5 points, why not? So pretty happy there. As far as my core goes, I pretty much had the 40 dwarves with great weapons and banner. And oddly enough, this is one of my units that did the worst. But I think that's because I was just a little bit too brazen with them, thinking that they can just take on anything like Savage Orcs. And that's just not the case. They're pretty damn strong, but they're not super strong. And going along with that was my Dwarves Shields. And really, if you listen to the internet, that's a stupid unit to take. You should just be taking great weapons. And you know what? Probably you're right, because they're only 1 point less than the great weapon guys. And even though they're pretty good in defensive, you pretty much get the same thing going with great weapons being ranked up. But either way, hey, you know what? Over the 38, I saved 38 points I can put somewhere else. And so when you are going to take a defensive unit, why not, right? Might as well save a few points. And this is my functional thing that's in the center. Then I have the 20 Quarlers with Banner and Musician. Really should have great weapons. Really, really, really should. I just don't own any. So that's really it there. I mean, I could have cut points somewhere else to get it in there. But like I said, I just don't have the model. So for what I have, they're great. The 20 Thunderers or Shields, they always do really well because, whenever I need them to, they just can go up and go to ranks and I can anvil them in somewhere. And here you go. You got these guys with a parry save and all this stuff. It goes pretty awesome. So you don't have any complaints against them. I got my 20 miners with Banner and Champ and Steam Drill. Really, whenever you have the Rune Lord with the anvil, miners should be an auto include. I've been really thinking about running them larger, say even like a horde of miners. But at this point, I think I only own like 30 something. So I got to get a few more for that to happen. But yeah, that'd be pretty deadly. But hey, they did very well this game. Well, apart from bouncing off Wood Elves, that was pretty embarrassing. But yeah, pretty happy with them. And then just pretty much all the I got the Dragon Slayer. I could talk about him. Yeah, he's in one game. But, I really like the idea of the single Dragon Slayer. It's only 50 points. The only thing I'm thinking almost about more than him is just the single, Thane. The Thane with a shield, a little bit more points, but then you get all that armor, right? So that's what I'm kind of thinking. Although at the same time, something that the Dragon Slayer can do great that never really came up here is that you can just throw him into a weak unit and you can just hold the whole thing up. So let's say if you have like a horde of Night Goblins coming at you. You throw this one guy into him, and he's going to stand there unbreakable and hold up the whole unit for a very long time. So never came up. He was only in a 3,000 point list. 19 Hammerers, again, only saw them in the last little bit there. They really saved my butt, but then again, they really saved me just because I was done with them. I think that they're a very great unit to have just because, hey, you get that little stubborn there. You get the strength 6, weapon skill 5. It's a pretty good unit. Otherwise, I have all my war machines. And war machines, they are what they are. Organ guns, amazing. Of course, if you ever misfire, 2/3 of the time they'll explode. But you just got to know that when the new Dwarf Book comes out, those will not be auto-hitting. Just like with the Anvil. I can pretty much be sure that when that gets redone, they've been taking that away where anything that gives you an extra charge goes away. So maybe you still get an extra move, but I'm pretty sure that extra charge is going to go away with the new book. Cannons are cannons. I don't really regret not having the Master Rune of Forging or anything like that. I mean, these things, they're 90-point cannons. They're cheap. They get the job done. Why would I want to spend a ton of other points when I can just be getting another war machine? And sure, I have the odd times where, I roll all those misfires and they explode. Well, whatever. If I did have like engineers in there and all those runes, well, then I'm having fewer war machines overall, right? I might as well be planning for success. The only one I do have runes on is that Grudge Thor with the strength 5 and re-rolling, and that thing did great all the time. Hell, that's the thing that killed the Demon Prince. So I think really, looking over the list, there's everything I'm happy with. The only thing that I do think that I should have added into my list is a little bit of Storm Magic. I don't know if I should have actually added magic to my list. I think actually it's better without, because at this point I'm making all my opponent's magic defense absolutely useless. And if I want to actually put in something like a Fimmer or whatever, I need to cut out actually a lot of stuff to get him in there. You know, a war machine or something. Uh, However, the thing that I would like is why am I not taking two saber tusks? You know, I don't need to be taking out many of my dwarf warriors to get them in, and those things could have helped me immensely in these games. There's something like 23 points each, so you know, a couple of them, man, I can only imagine how much good these things would have done for me for redirecting, going after chaff. So really something in the future, I gotta get my hands on some saber tusks. I used to have some when I had ogres, but when I got rid of them, I got rid of them. So there you go. I'll have to figure out something there. Now let's start looking at the scenarios and pretty much the tournament in general. Um, I think overall the terrain was way different than last year. I was thinking about putting up a little comparison shot, but pretty much what it comes down to is last year there were big, huge buildings in the middle of every single board, and my hordes had a hell of a time getting across. This year, there wasn't very much in the middle at all. I mean, sometimes there's the odd impassable, but it's not like before where there's like triple impassable down the middle of the board. So that really changed, and it's really opposite. I don't know if they're doing it on purpose to always really change it like this, but I mean, talking to my traveling companion on the way there, we both agree that probably like one more piece of terrain out there would have been nice. You know, it was at that point where there wasn't too much here, but it seemed like a lot of times it was just not quite enough. So, but overall, you know, I'm very happy with it. Really happy with the little building shenanigans you can pull with dwarves and with the anvil and all that stuff. Very good looking terrain, very well run. There was one point there where some of the games were running a little bit long and were falling behind. So I mean that part there you have to kind of cut them short, but at the same time you want to keep the tournament friendly. You don't want to be doing dice down. So it's a really hard line to say where are we going to draw this in the sand type thing, but very well run tournament. One thing, of course, doesn't come up here is great food. It's not like they're just kind of ordering some greasy pizza or something. They're there cooking up their own food and chili and stuff and all this stuff. So that was really nice to see. Getting to some of the scenarios, I mean, this is a thing where it's not just base scenarios from the book. These are fairly different. And, you know, I like that. I like seeing things which really challenge you and really changes the way the game is played. I mean, you really just don't see any attacker and defender apart from the watchtower, really. That's the only one you ever really see that. So looking at the scenarios, you know, I really like the drunk one, the first one, where you roll and get these different effects on your guys. Probably the only thing there they might want to rethink is that whole bonus objective of having, you know, 2 units drunk at the end of the game, because you don't really have any control over that, right? It's just dice. And I mean, usually for these bonus objectives, you want them more tactics based, but you know, that's a really minor thing. On the second one there for free the slaves, I think that one worked out fairly well. I think it all was all really great. I really like how that bonus objective said, you know, allow your opponent to deploy it up to 18 rather than 12, because it really puts the onus like, man, I don't know, because it's obviously something where if you do this, you get 1 point automatically for the bonus objective, but you know you might be losing the game now and losing 2 points or 4 points. So it really is something where you have to kind of look ahead and say, like, is this actually going to be okay? And I mean, that's kind of like the deeper tactic stuff that I really like. Then we come to Assault on the Mine, and I think in general this one would have been fine if everything would have been a little bit more clear. Like I said in one thing, he had to kind of go back and forth on where the mine is actually placed and whether you can be around it and all these things. I believe I also heard him say when he was talking to somebody else that the intent was to have somebody on the mine at the end of the game in order to win it, not just at any time. So that would have really changed the scenario as well. So, I mean, just one of these things where if you're doing all these really different scenarios, you really have to make sure that you have somebody else that really looks them over. I know whenever I do my scenarios, I get my brother Borgnine to really go through them. And I gotta say, I don't think I've ever made one scenario where he hasn't found one glaring error, at least one glaring error. The gold rush, I think this is the one where you know you had to go get the chests, the treasure chests, and all that stuff. That's the one I was up against the wood elves. This is the one where I think could really use some changes. The potential for getting 1,800 points is just too much, because if you are on a fast army or somewhere where they can just delay things. I know in another case, this was the vampire accounts were defending this here. It was just too easy. You could just bog them down. You might lose a few units of zombies, but hey, I got an average of 700 more points. Sorry, 1,200 more points, and you're looking pretty. So this is one too. I would say that you should make it so that each treasure chest is worth 100 more or 150 more. That'd be somewhere around more normal. If it's 150 more, do it for 5 treasure chests. Just something that won't give a ton of points and be overwhelming, because it is an attacker defender. It's not like they're all just down the middle of the board or something like that. Past that, we have Strike at the Heart. That's the one where they changed the Blood and Glory to be based off characters. I actually really, really like that change, because, everybody always has characters. You're always pretty much going to have your general and BSB, and this pretty much said that no matter what, you're not going to just walk into the game and go, well, I just lost it. Because really the way it was, where your most expensive character gets +1, that means that, well, at least with the general, he'll be worth 4, even if you had 1. So you can't lose the game right off the bat. So thought it was a really neat change to that, nice little twist. So I really like that one. And then the final one there is the one where you had the mastermind and all that cool stuff. I really liked that mission. Of course, it just in the way that we played, me and my opponent, it really didn't change anything. I mean, yeah, it's just the way where sometimes you have to make these scenarios basing it off all the armies, and sometimes you have these few little things that don't really work out. But either way, it was still a fun mission. I had a lot of fun. I will definitely come again next year. And I really enjoyed dwarves. Dwarves, I think this is the first time I've taken them to a tournament ever. I don't know if I'll be using them again before they get a new book. But yeah, I just love them a whole bunch. And although on that first day, I felt like I was making tons and tons of mistakes, when it came to the second day, I felt I was really hitting my stride, really doing well. Of course, except for the very end, where I just let myself get half my army killed. But there you go. Thanks for watching all these battle reports. Thanks for watching this. And if you guys have any thoughts on my army, on the missions, on really anything to do with the tournament, just write down a comment below, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.